Hey everyone, welcome back to Synergy Sync Podcast, How to Train Your Restaurant. As always, I'm your host, Greg Luther, along with my partner in crime, Mike Walls.
Hello, everybody.
Excellent. Today we have a special guest on our show. We're going to talk about off-premise trends with Monica Challingsworth. Monica, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Monica. Excited to be here.
Excellent, excellent. So we were discussing some of the most interesting trends in the restaurant industry, and one of them is, over the past, say, 24 months, we've really seen a change in consumer behavior and how they are consuming, restaurant meals, and a lot of that has gone to off-premise. And Monica, we wanted to bring you on because we know you're a subject matter expert here. We wanted to kind of hear your point of view on the new off-premise scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I would love if we could start just Monica, you give the best introduction of yourself. I think I want to hear, let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Great. Yes. So again, I'm Monica. What I focus on is building incremental revenue programs for whether independent operators or multi-unit restaurant groups. And so what we really focus on doing is how to drive more revenue outside of your four walls. And so that can be anything from building virtual brands, catering programs, takeout, delivery, and really being able to connect that guest experience that they would have if they're, having the privilege to dining with you, to be able to have that same experience offsite. So we do everything from looking at your marketing, what your guest is looking for, how to execute the orders properly, get everything there when hot food's hot and cold food's cold. But we lose a lot of that in the delivery or pickup process. So all of those little details are so important from a guest perspective that, especially too in the world of third party, a lot of your customers may have never heard of you before. And now they're on DoorDash or Grubhub and they're finding you for the first time. So we want to make sure that experience is the same or even better that they can have at home instead of just in your four walls.
And so when you go into a new restaurant operation, if they haven't hired you like specifically to help them establish a ghost kitchen, how do you establish what's the best opportunity for them when you look for, should we go the ghost kitchen, a virtual brand? Should we, look at a catering program? What kind of parameters do you look at when making those decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's usually the same type of assessment, looking at the food, what type of food travels well and doesn't travel well, and how that's going to resonate with the guest. What their labor looks like. Do they have enough staging room? What is their storage? Can they hold packaging? I mean, there's so many things that, it's not a one size fits all. It's definitely what is going to be best for that brand. And also looking at their target market area. If they're in, maybe downtown LA, for example, downtown was really hot with all of the corporate buildings that were there. So, you focus on building these catering programs, easy pickup and delivery. And of course, with the pandemic and everything closing down, you have to readjust what that looks like. So what we may have done, let's say a year and a half ago, could look different now. So when we go in now, we really need to reevaluate where their business is, where their goals are, and what kind of resources they have to produce those. So we may now take a restaurant brand who was very hot with catering for all the corporate catering business. And now we might shift them into either doing an e-commerce program, potentially a wholesale program. So there's lots of different ways we could look at this to really take their unique menu offerings, what they have from already a beloved database, and then be able to still make sure that they're profitable, even in times of uncertainty.
And are you finding that you're slanting in one direction more often now in post-pandemic?
It's a good question.
Or pseudo post-pandemic? I know we're not totally post, but.
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say, yes, what we were so focused on before was building catering programs, and specifically for drop-off corporate catering. And, that was such a hot topic for the last couple of years. And, of course, with everything that happened to people working from home, that took a huge hit. There's still a big market for that, looking at hospitals, churches, schools, organizations, but from a corporate catering standpoint, that has dwindled off a little bit, but we do see it coming back. So I would say probably the last year we've really focused on optimizing third party. what was really scary to me was when the pandemic happened, all these brands who maybe hadn't been on third party jumped onto them very quickly. And, these third party partners were running specials to say, we're not going to charge you any kind of commission right now. But in 6 months from now, it's going to jump up to 30%. And, where, I'm happy that they offered that. What it ended up doing for the operators is now that they're past that 6 months, they're paying really high commissions where they never really took their food cost in consideration. They didn't look at the added packaging cost, added labor cost too that goes with this if you need to staff somebody specifically for that takeout and delivery area. So where, we're already in a penny's business, we found that those third parties were not profitable for a lot of these brands within, the pandemic. So we have some very high-end full-service restaurants who, steak and lobster and, some of these items don't really travel as well. And then they're putting them in styrofoam packaging because we had a packaging shortage. So there was just so many things that, were had to be done quickly. And so now we're going back in and we're trying to kind of just help them. I mean, not clean up the mess, but really just optimize for what this looks like. And so they're successful moving forward. A big piece of that too is, helping to negotiate with the third parties. They know kind of what they've done. So they've been flexible and helpful on, what can we do to still make sure they're profitable. And, if we need to change the menu a little bit and say, you don't have to offer 100% of your menu, let's look at your PMIX, let's look at your costing, let's really understand what it is that we're selling and what our consumers want. So I think that there's a good strategy behind third party, which is probably our little core hotspot right now.
And so I know this isn't a third party question, but to your point of steak not traveling well, I believe you had a project where you bypassed that as an issue with prime rib. Is that a project you can tell us a little bit about?
Yeah, so this one has been really amazing. So I'm not sure who all is familiar with Lawry's restaurants, but Lawry's is a very beloved brand, 80 plus years. And when the pandemic happened, I mean, we really had to shift quickly. So we did end up going into some individual takeout delivery. They went on to third party for the first time ever. We're still working through that process to, like I mentioned before, kind of clean it up a little bit, but we had this really exciting opportunity to build Lawry's at home. And what this is the full Lawry's experience that you would get in the restaurant. You now have it shipped to you. And so the prime ribs come completely frozen. All of the sides are made. So you can either microwave them, stovetop, you can bake if there's a couple different ways that you can do this, but you have this amazing experience that you get. So when you open up the box, you have this beautiful, just like kit of everything that you need. We have our, famous seasoning salts, our Yorkshire pudding, hot fudge, thermometer, just really beautiful, even marketing pieces to tell you how to prepare the food, videos on how to do it. It's just this awesome, awesome experience. And what we loved about that was there are so many consumers who have, gone to Lawry's for their anniversaries, for their birthdays, for the past, 40, 50 years. And all of a sudden, they closed down. We did end up closing one of our other locations. So we had to figure out how can we still, really surprise and delight our guests and bring that Lawry's experience to them. And that's how Lawry's at Home was born.
Yeah, that surprise and delight thing, I think in all to go, whether it's, through the mail or whatever. I've seen so many like cocktail kits and all different kinds of kits, I guess, that just like go so far above and beyond what you used to get from, DoorDash or Uber Eats, which would just be food in a package, I think that's a really interesting trend. But quickly, just back on Lawry's, I understand sales are awesome. And so just out of curiosity, how long did it take you guys to go from, ideation to shipping your first box to where you guys are now profit-wise?
Yeah. So what's that saying where they say it's like you're fixing the airplane or building the airplane while you're flying or whatever? It's
Right.
like that situation because we knew we needed to have it out before the holiday season. So, I mean, less than like 60 days
Wow.
to really put all this together. It was a hustle for sure. There was a lot of things. I mean, we're still changing and adding on to the program. Sales are so high right now that we're moving into a fulfillment center because we can't produce it out of one of our locations any longer, which is a really exciting, challenge in that side too. But I would say if you were going to do it the right way, like not that they did it the wrong way because it was amazing and and we needed to get there for the holiday season, but I would say for a program like that, it would probably take about 5 to 6 months to do everything from really understanding what the menu is that you're going to be shipping. The packaging is definitely very challenging, whether you're looking at dry ice packs. What kind of food are you selling it? Is it getting shipped frozen, refrigerated? FedEx has its own challenges. We're in a packaging shortage right now. So how are you working through packaging? How are you making it, this really cool experience onto marketing and onto actually the execution, and who's doing it? Do you have the bodies in your restaurant, or do you need to look at a co-packer or another fulfillment center? So with Lowry's, it was definitely up and charging and going real crazy. I mean, for the holiday season, I was there packing boxes every day and, shipping prime rib out and trying to keep our FedEx guys super happy because,
Yeah.
these boxes weigh between like 40 and 60 pounds. So
Wow. A
it's
lot of meat.
it's a lot of meat. Yeah. It's definitely an experience, like I mentioned. Yeah.
So I think a really great lesson to pull out of this, and one that we say often, I think Dean, who's the founder of Synergy here, says this a lot: don't let perfect get in the way of good. And a lot of people, I think, hold themselves back because they don't have the absolute perfect solution at this time, when in reality you can go and you can, from examples we've seen, you can make $1 million, you can do $1 million in sales before you have the solution worked out, or while you're working on the solution. So I think if I could give one of the pieces of advice I give to a lot of our clients is, just start making some moves, shipping some stuff. You got to clean it up as you go. Do
Absolutely.
it, go make the money because it's there and people want it and the opportunity's out there.
Absolutely. We're doing the same thing for a barbecue client, and they have, I think, like maybe 20 some locations. And, this was something that was great because the Lowry's president is friends with this other particular president. And they were like, oh, hey, I've wanted to do this. And so Lowry's is like, amazing. We have the team for you, introduced us. And within a week, we were like off to the races. And they're like, yeah, we've talked about this for years. We've wanted to do it. We've wanted to do it. We have no idea where to start. So please just take all of this and do it for us. And so it's been really fun with them because we've built everything. We do our weekly meetings to send them everything, let them know where we are. And they're like, this is the coolest thing we've ever watched, because this was our dream, but we had no idea where to even begin. And because this, we've done this now multiple times, it's different for each type of cuisine and each brand, but it's so much fun. And I think from like the operator standpoint, for them to sit back and be like, whoa, like, okay, so this is how co-packers work, and this is what it looks like and tastes like if we, freeze our food and unfreeze it. So it's been, one of those, I think, having faith too in who you're working with, of, finding the right people and the right partners to support you in whatever those business goals and dreams are. And, being able to really give them the freedom, to bring you different ideas, to do different things. And I think that from an operator standpoint, that's where we have found the most success is, somebody who's more nimble and says, let's try different things. Yeah, maybe we haven't frozen our food in the past, but there's the right kind of equipment now to do flash freezing and to be able to reheat and all of this, where the quality is still the exact same. And it's just being able to do a lot of trial and error and work with the right people, have the right type of equipment. But I think that, yeah, if anybody's looking to get into that, don't try to do everything on your own. That's why there's experts out there to help you, to work with your budget. Everybody has a different, they're in a different place in their business, and people have different money to invest in different things. And I think that, finding the right partners who are sensitive to that, and who are there to truly just make you a boatload of extra money, that those are the people that you want to work with.
So Monica, certainly the last 24 months has kind of pushed home replacement meal kits just over the edge, right? Into hyperdrive. and it's changed the way consumers behave and expect to eat with their families. But I kind of wonder what do you think is gonna stick around over the next couple of years, and what's gonna be the next phase of, say, the home kit meal?
I think it's still going to be in that experience type realm. When meal kits, I've done myself, I think like all of them, the Green Chefs and, everything of the world. And when I was originally doing it, it was mainly, I was just kind of sick of what I was making all the time. I knew how to cook and I loved cooking, but it was, I wanted something a little bit different. So all of those, meal companies kind of give you that specific, little area that you're looking for. So Green Chef, for example, they had organic, gluten-free, some things that were, that are important to me. But then also, they had, different flavor profiles. They're a little bit more exciting than, one of the kind of entry level cooking ones. But I love the entry level cooking because for people, again, during the pandemic, they're home, everybody's learning to cook, to bake bread all the time. I mean, Mike, watching your Instagram, that was your entire pandemic. And so I think that, it was awesome to have those at the time, but, as they continue to expand, I think people are going to want more. I think they're going to want to have their cocktail pairing or a wine pairing, or, maybe a cool cooking demo that goes with it, or, learning how to, make your homemade bread that goes along with this meal and teaching you how to rise, and just kind of all those things of, making it truly an experience as opposed to just getting food delivered that you make on your own. And so I think that's where, you see a lot of celebrity chefs who are going to the world of e-commerce to say, we're going to have, we have a Michelin star restaurant and we're going to, still send you these same meals and, flash freeze them, get them over to you. So, you could be having dinner from a famous chef in New York, 3 days later, which is something that, we didn't really see a lot of before, but coming out of this, that's definitely been very popular. So I think that that's been just a really cool new trend that's happening.
Yeah. So do you think obviously you don't have to choose A or B, and one of these is substantially easier. Do you think there's money in this, a more occasion-based type of selling versus kind of your everyday, to-go strategy? Do you think one deserves more focus right now? Or is it more just that the occasion one is just kind of unexplored and we just have the everyday stuff paying the bills on our way to, adventurous new realms there?
I wouldn't necessarily say one takes precedent over the other, with the exception of if you're looking at your everyday to go, and you don't actually know your food costs, and you don't know your packaging costs, and you're not sure of your margins or getting all that air control. That is priority one, regardless of what you're doing. So if your third party right now is something that you're putting in the back of your mind and you haven't wanted to touch it, or regular just pick up to go delivery, stop. Like that needs to happen first. But once you know that that's buttoned up and that you're making money off it, you're super happy with it, you have your technology in place, all that fun stuff, then I think it's time to look at these other ways you can connect with your guests. And the special occasion is definitely a way to do it. But that can be a slippery slope because, you have pockets of time where it's the holiday season, it's Father's Day, it's graduation, 4th of July, and then what? And then you have a summertime where, people want to be grilling and doing different things. So you need to look at all of those kind of industry market trends along with your calendar and really understand, if I'm going to invest whatever X amount of dollars into this program, are holidays and occasions enough to keep me afloat? So with that, we would say, how can you add in some different items? So for Lawry's, for example, I'm not going to spoil surprise if we have some really awesome things in the pipeline, but, we knew that we needed to expand those offerings where it wasn't just holiday based, because there's only, again, so many holidays. So we're trying to really focus on how you can still have this everyday experience, where, whether we attach it to a charity, we attach it to doing some like large national events. We can attach it to, it's just a Tuesday and here's some different price points and things that we can do. Subscription-based models are really popular right now when it comes to these things. For like our barbecue client, they have some really famous barbecue sauces. So, can we do a subscription model with, barbecue sauce of the month, and then, they'll get a tri-tip and a something else, and it changes every month. And we have these really fun like aprons and pastry brushes and different things that go in these, what we call our hospitality kit. So it's like we switch those out to make it a really fun experience each time. So that's what we're doing to focus on the everyday. But then we also have the other side of it where it's, you know, this grand experiences that you can still do for the holidays. So I think you need to have both in order to really be extra successful in this.
I did a Hot Ones subscription at $3 a month, which is the you guys know the show Hot Ones, where celebrities come on and they taste stuff with Sean Evans. They eat all the like super hot wing sauces.
Okay.
So I did that for like a year, and now I have a second refrigerator in my garage filled up with like 30 hot sauces, because some of these are so blisteringly hot that you use them in like, you know, minuscule portions. But I really enjoyed that subscription. It was so fun to see what would come. And I really, in reality, it was just like too much. Like I'm never going to get through all the hot sauce I have in my house, at least without, you know, extreme discomfort. All right. So I love the idea though of the sauces, and, you know, what, like, so in our business in consulting and in Synergy Sync, one of the ways that we started this program was called monetizing our byproducts. So we're out there generating, you know, all these training programs for clients. And we thought to ourselves, you know, can we arrive at like some universal principles here? Can we take the things that we're doing and use them, you know, at scale to help more people? So the same way in the restaurant business, you know, we make a barbecue sauce, or we have a really good sauce, you know, can you get that commercialized? Like, what byproducts can you monetize in a restaurant, do you think that people haven't necessarily thought of before?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I mean, it depends so much, you know, on what that brand is known for. Like, okay, so one, for example, this particular barbecue client has also very famous biscuits. So how do we take that same biscuit recipe and either do, you know, the burlap bag of, you know, it's like your bake at home, but also have it be, you know, a little bit of, again, an educational. So you still have to, you know, be able to roll that out, let it rise, do all of these different things with it, that it isn't really just, you know, popping it in the oven and like calling it a day. So, so I think that there's some really unique things that you can look at of, you know, what are people coming to you for? And, you know, of course, those biscuits, when you're dining in, they're free, they're part of your meal. You know, people are, you know, that's where they're all trying to like take home. I mean, think of it like Olive Garden breadsticks. I mean, that's another good example that, I mean, everybody goes to Olive Garden for the breadsticks, and, you know, people have these certain just pieces of their menu, or even something like of a decor that they're known for, that how do you like, you know, have that Instagram worthy, monetize on what that is? You know, do you have a fun saying that you could throw on some t-shirts? Do you have a hot sauce that you could bottle? You know, looking at, you know, what it is that's your one thing that everybody's like, oh, I have to go to this restaurant because I love this X thing. So being able to figure that out, and, you know, getting creative with it. And it doesn't have to be, you know, this big national shipping program to start. You know, you can have fun with it, play around with some things within inside of your four walls. I mean, obviously checking into regulations, and there's some, you know, things that come along with that when you're bottling and whatever. But I think that, you know, it's all about being nimble and coming up with new ideas to be able to reach more guests. And, you know, there's definitely a big market for wholesaling. There's a big market for, you know, even let's just say these little Etsy shops where, you know, in the pandemic, people found that, hey, I'm really good at doing, you know, X, Y, and Z. So I've now quit my full-time corporate job and I have an Etsy shop, and they're loving it, and they're making, you know, tons of money. Or all these, you know, TikTok people who came up with these really fun recipes. And then all of a sudden there was like that feta pasta or something, and all the grocery stores sold out of feta cheese because like it went viral on TikTok. I mean, and I'm guilty of doing it, and it was delicious. So, you know, going to the stores and trying to find feta cheese, which you would never think would be the one thing that like everybody runs out of. So
Right.
You know, it's
yes,
kind of like a combination of all the ideas put together. So you have unboxing, which is always exciting for people to get a surprise box at home and get something that's unique from that location or restaurant. Then you have a literal experiment with cooking. And if you combine that with a TikTok video on a recipe, now you've got all three of those trends mashed up together.
Yeah.
So this thing will just continue to snowball in the industry. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I like too that you said t-shirts, because that's by no means new. Everyone, you know, there's a lot of like cheeky, fun restaurants and bars that have, I got crabs at Joe's Crab Shack or whatever.
Mhm.
But it really doesn't have to be limited to those. I think there's a joke to be had, like Wendy's tweets are brilliant,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
um,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Anything like that, I think could become a clothing line for anybody. So that's funny. I wasn't really thinking about that in those terms, but yeah, you can get scrappy. Monica and I did a project in San Antonio where we came up with this. It's a healthy prepared foods company, and we came up with this thing that you would put on a green wall inside the restaurant, or I guess it's not a restaurant, it's really a pickup spot. But it says healthy AF. And then it has, an arrow pointing down to the person. It's like a step and repeat, like we should tell them that would be a really great t-shirt. And then it's just like a fun, if you know kind of thing.
Mhm.
And you create little, little communities with that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. I saw a thing about the Taco Bell hotel that's in Palm Springs, like the pop-up. I'm not sure if it's still happening right now or like what it was. But I had seen that maybe a year ago or whatever. I mean, and just how fun of like, people getting married at the Taco Bell hotel and, all the fun swag that they had, like as you kind of go through their gift shop, or I think they call it like their taco shop or whatever. But it's so fun. And, people are loving it. I mean, everybody loves Taco Bell for the most part. And then they have all these really fun t-shirts. And, I ended up getting my sister-in-law a couple of years ago, like a Taco Bell t-shirt kind of as a joke. And she wears it like 3 times a week.
I love
So
Taco
it's
Bell.
just,
I'm not
it's like,
ashamed.
no, and everybody loves their swag and tacos and so I think there's fun things that you can do with it. Yeah, I mean, Wendy's, what a great example that, you sometimes forget about some of these brands because they're just, they're so big and then, other things happen but they always find a way to kind of stay relevant because they're cheeky and they're creative. And I think it's like those types of things are, what people want to support and be around. And, I guess the other side too, even thinking about supporting is, who are you aligning yourselves with? I think that the, millennial generation especially really wants to spend their money where they know that somebody's either giving back, using sustainable packaging, they understand their culture and their business practices. I think that's also really important that what is your message out into the world? Are you, just slinging tacos? If so, that's great. But is there something else that you can do to, help the community, to give back, to have a purpose? And what do you stand for? I think that, regardless of what that is, it's important. There's a restaurant in Huntington Beach, which it's funny how they became famous, but they still have a sign that says, if you wear a mask, you won't be served. So they went the complete opposite way and are very against masks. So the whole time during the pandemic, like they opened, they took their fines, they did whatever, and they were so strong and clear about even their servers. They're like, if you wear a mask, you're fired. So
Yikes.
I wouldn't necessarily dine there because that is a very bully type thing to do, but they got tons of, obviously media play from that. And my hairdresser is directly next door to them. And she said that they've never been busier. So
Yeah, but I believe it.
there's a market for everything.
So I'm a little biased on, what step one would be. And I think, and hiring consultants, and I'll tie this together in a moment, but I think there's an important place for trailblazing. But there's also a lot of times that we trailblaze when we don't need to trailblaze. And we think that, we need resources that are unattainable to us. And so, for me personally, I always try to find, is there a book written about this so that I don't have to go figure this out the first time? Or is there a person I can talk to? And then when it comes to, hiring consultants who know how to do this stuff, a lot of times people think, well, I can't get started unless I have, a president of this or a director of this or that. And it's like, I believe that you can bring in a consultant at a fraction of somebody's, I could say, hey, Monica, we're going to pay you X dollars, which is, probably less than it's going to cost us to bring in somebody for the year or indefinitely, to help us build this program. And then as soon as you build it for us, we say goodbye and we no longer carry your salary, but we have all the benefits. And then down the line, if that's busy, we bring in more people to manage it. So, I guess that would be my step one is talk to somebody who knows what they're doing and knows the space. Even if you don't hire a consultant like us or Monica, you can ask us questions, and get started. But if somebody were to ask you, do you have any kind of uniform step one before somebody, say, engages your services? we need to make some extra money. What should we do?
So what I've actually done with almost all of my clients to date, which is why I think we do get hired more often than not, is I say, wait, hold on, before we even start talking about like proposals and all that stuff, like, let me understand what you're doing, you know, what are the resources, you know, what does your team look like, what kind of budget do you have for any of these things, and let's you and I brainstorm some ideas that you can do right now to start making more money so you can start covering these costs. So like, we had a winery, for example, in Burbank, who we wanted to do national shipping with them, and so he was ready to like start, you know, 3 weeks ago kind of thing, and I was like, just hold on, just stop. You know, we have the New Year's Eve coming up, because it was back then. We have New Year's Eve coming up. You know, we have these interesting, you know, tasting kits that we can do. Let's put together an event. Let's get some things out. You know, if we can make, let's say, 15 grand off this event, then let's be able to look at that $15,000 and figure out where we put that money. So as you actually build this program, you know, you have this kind of chunk of funds to get there. So it's not as black and white as that for a lot of clients, but it's looking at those types of things first and really understanding what it is that they need and what that process would look like. And then while we're in there too, I mean, even if we spend a day or two, you know, hanging out with the operators, at least we can say like, if you do this, you know, it's going to save you, you know, maybe a couple bucks here. Here's maybe something you haven't been thinking about. Hey, I have a contact with DoorDash. Your prices are really high. Do you mind if I just call them and see if I can get your commission down a little bit? I mean, we did that with a big chain fast food restaurant they're based in Corona, and we got them down to like, I don't know, maybe 20% or something of their commission. I think they were paying 28, and they're like, well, obviously you've just paid for yourself times 1,000. So you're hired for the rest of your life, whatever you want, like come and work with us. And so I think it's, you know, really understanding who has your back in this, you know,
and knowing what questions to ask.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Can you lower our commission?
Yeah. We are there to say here, hey, here's what you should look at. And you know, and if people are talking to consultants, they're not doing that and they're getting the same generalized proposal every single time, then it's probably not in their best interest to hire them. That, you know, this is very personal to their brand. It's very personal to us. And, you know, you become a family with it. We're 100% referral based, and we plan to keep it that way because we want everybody to be happy and well taken care of. And at the end of the day, you know, making money where when we're out of it, they have all their SOPs set up, you know, they have Synergy Sync, they have all these things that they need to continue to be successful once we're out of the picture, because we want to work ourselves out of a job. That is the whole point. And
right.
But we want to do it while we're not here.
Yeah, we get to run around doing new crazy stuff all the time. That's what we like to do.
Absolutely. You know? Yep.
Guys, thank you so much. Monica, you've been a fantastic guest. You've been our favorite guest so far.
You're okay.
our first onlyest and favoritist guest.
But you have to promise you're going to come back and do the show again, because I think we had a great time. We learned a lot, and this was just awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
I will. Thank you for having me. It's like when my dad says I'm his favorite daughter, and I'm like, it took me years as a kid to be like, wait a minute, I'm your only daughter. And he's like, wow, it took you way too long to get that.
And Monica, what is your company? How do people find you? And what can you do for them?
So Monica with Eustress and Demeter. I also work with Synergy Restaurant Consultants. Love Synergy Sync. We've gone through the program ourselves. I highly recommend it. And you can find me at eustressanddemeter.com or synergyconsultants.com.
Excellent.
All right.
In the bio too. Thank you so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Okay.